Hello, I'm Lew Strickland. I'm the Extension Veterinarian with the University of Tennessee. And today I would like to discuss with you some of the changes that are coming with over-the-counter antibiotics and the regulations that have been passed through FDA. And these changes will mean that you've got to make some changes on your farm. And I would like to discuss those with you, what you need to do to plan moving forward from here. This is some of the regulations that we're talking about. Let's discuss these. We're kind of looking at how we got to where we are. First, back in 2012, there was a cephalosporin extra label prohibition passed. And what that says is we cannot use cephalosporin's extra label whatsoever. We have to use it exactly the way it's listed on the label. And cephalosporins include Naxel, Xanel, Exceed, those type products. Then, later on down, Guidance 209 and 213 were passed, and this was aiming at putting over-the-counter feed additive antibiotics under the control of licensed veterinarian. And you put those two together and we have the Veterinary Feed Directive, which some of you are probably implementing on your farms now. So now we've got Guidance 263. This one is coming along and it will be enacted in June 11 of 23. So over-the-counter antibiotics will become prescription antibiotics at that time. These include injectables, bolus that you may give orally, or intramammary treatments that are used in the udder. These will be placed under the supervision of a licensed veterinarian. Now, I have had this comment made that from several people, well, they're just picking on us food animal producers. Well, not in this case here. This will be all animal owners. This will be dogs, cats, rabbits, pigs, horses. Everyone that needs antibiotics will have to have a prescription to get them. And you can look here at the website that I've got listed here at the bottom, and you can go to that website and it will tell exactly what antibiotics are affected on this new bill. The whole premise behind this new bill is to prevent antibiotic resistance from occurring. The thought process is that using the same antibiotics on our animals that are used on us will infer resistance to us. And you see here, I'm listing human medically important antibiotics. Those are the antibiotics that are used on us. And those will be penicillins, tetracyclines, sulfas. And you can see that on that list that I just provided for you on that website. And of course, this is put under the expertise of veterinarians having a knowledge of these organisms and potentially even a culture sensitivity to know exactly what antibiotic to reach for in certain situations so that we're not wasting time giving antibiotics that are not working and causing resistance in the meantime. And of course, judicious use of these antibiotics as well. As I just said, only needed for treatment, and that antibiotic is appropriate for the purpose that is needed in that animal. And of course, this is extremely important too: correct dose, the frequency of when that antibiotic is given, and the duration of when that antibiotic is given, and also the correct route, whether that be feed, water, injection, or orally. Now, this is what a current label looks like that you would go and pick up from, I'm just going to pick on antibiotic LA200. This is one that's very common. A lot of people know this antibiotic here, but this is the label that you see right now. You go in and you pick up this bottle, and this is the label that you will read. Now, with the VFD come January 1, 2017, it was the flip of a light switch. This will be a little bit different. If you go into your favorite feed store, wherever, to purchase these antibiotics, and you find an antibiotic that still has this current label on the bottle, on June 11th, you will still be able to purchase this antibiotic without a prescription if it still has this current label on it. FDA is working with these drug companies to then add this statement here. Federal law restricts the use of this drug to use on the order of a licensed veterinarian. This will be placed on the labels in the near future. And my idea is that kind of in the area where you may see warning or caution is where you will look for this particular statement. But as I just said, if you find a current label, you're still able to purchase that. But as the new labels transition in, you will have to have a prescription to get that. This is what will be necessary for you to be able to purchase these antibiotics come June the 11th, and of course when the new label comes along. It is called a VCPR, which is a veterinary client-patient relationship. What this relationship does is the veterinarian is assuming responsibility for making clinical judgments on your farm. So that goes back to the decision for which antibiotic to reach for in whatever situation it may be. Also, that veterinarian has seen the animal, your animal, within the past 12 months, either at their facility or has made an annual visit to your farm where the animals are kept. And that veterinarian has to be readily available for emergency coverage or follow-up evaluation in the case of an adverse reaction to that medication or some sort of failure of that treatment. Now, I have copied this from Tennessee's VCPR statement. This may not be the exact same in the state where you are, but all 50 states will be very similar to this type of statement right here. This is what I would encourage you to go ahead and establish now. Because June 11th comes along, if these antibiotics that have the current label on them are not available and the statement is on that bottle and you need the script and you need it fairly quickly, well, it's going to take you some time to get that. But if you've already established this relationship, well, then the transition should be fairly smooth. There shouldn't be any problems with going down the road. I've had this question asked of me too. Will I need to call my veterinarian just to give a shot? Well, no. If that veterinarian has an intimate working knowledge of your farm, you've kept that veterinary client-patient relationship up to date with that veterinarian, you can then use that medication as the veterinarian has prescribed it. Now, I would highly encourage you to call your veterinarian for consult just real quick, just to make sure that yes, that is the best idea in this situation, but it's not necessary. I also like to go over this to make sure everybody understands this, because this is going to be extremely important under these new regulations. Extra label use of these medications. Extra label use means I'm using that medication in a manner other than what it's listed on the label or its intended use. Whether that be it's a different dose that's on the label, a different duration, or a different disease not listed on the label. However, under the diagnosis made by that veterinarian, by the VCPR that we just spoke of, that veterinarian has the working knowledge. Of course, that veterinarian has assumed responsibility for making that clinical judgment. You agree to the instructions that veterinarian gives you. That veterinarian should write the instructions on that label that that veterinarian has for your bottle. Then you're covered for extra label drug use. If you use a medication in an extra label manner without a veterinarian's permission, that is illegal. And that can easily cause drug residues, which we want to avoid at all costs. Where can you get these? I've had several people say, Doc, these antibiotics are going away. Actually, no, they will still be available. You are not required to purchase them from your veterinarian. I will say this, some veterinarians would prefer that you purchase from them just under that VCPR and making sure that that relationship is remaining up to date, but you are not required to. You can purchase them through farm stores or online, but a script will be needed. And of course, you have to follow the context of the VCPR exactly the way the veterinarian has prescribed this medication to you. And that's why I recommended the phone call before you do give the shot to make sure that you are still following the context of that VCPR. Items that are not affected through this legislation: vaccines, fly control, insecticides, dewormers, hormone implants. Ionophores. Ionophores are the feed additive antibiotics, but it is not a human medically important antibiotic. So those will still be available. So none of these will be affected by this new legislation. I often have this question too, where can I find a veterinarian? We're having problems. On our website through Tennessee Department of Agriculture, you can find veterinarians listed by county, and in your area you may be able to find the same thing through your type of website through your agriculture department. If you do have any questions, I know this can be frustrating, it's hard to understand, but you can contact me through either my email, lstrick5@utk.edu. I also have a website, askdrlew.tennessee.edu, where you're able to send in an email. It alerts me that you've got a question and I'm able to send back. I would like to thank the Food and Drug Administration Center for Veterinary Medicine for endorsement of this video. Here is their QR code. If you wish to have more information, you can visit their website. Also, here is my QR code from our Animal Science website. You can visit there if you have more questions. It will take you directly to the askdrlew.tennessee.edu site. Thank you very much for your time.